hopping on here to talk about the next guided self-pleasure experience, which is going to be this Thursday. It's going to be led by Dr. Brittney Ellers, who will be joining me on this live. We're going to answer some questions. I'm going to talk about the purpose of creating this, and I'm going to have Dr. Brittney Ellers join to share what she's going to focus on in this community experience. If you haven't heard about the guided self-pleasure experience, this is an event I've been running for the last couple months where I have guest female teachers join to lead you all through a self-pleasure experience. It's a guided meditative masturbation experience. So having teachers come in and share their professions while you are led into pleasure and while simultaneously working to relax your nervous system. Dr. Brittney Ellers is a pelvic floor therapist. She knows a ton about this part of the human anatomy, and let's get her on here to dive in. Be exploring this wild adventure together. Hey, hey.
Hi, how's it going?
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. I was just sharing a little bit about what this experience is for and my passions behind it. And I would love for you to just share with everyone a little bit about your background and what you're bringing into this experience. We can dive in together.
Yeah. Okay, so I think you already shared though that I'm a pelvic physical therapist. I treat and work with men and women super holistically, and I think part of the reason I've gotten into this particular path is because not even pelvic PTs talk a lot about pleasure, and it's always even talked about more from the sense of dysfunction.
Yeah.
And I think that that is important, definitely to address. But I have gotten over the past couple of years the privilege of guiding women into their own pleasure via their own hands-on touch and recalibrating even away from things like vibrators, which I don't, we can talk vibrators on another day, but I feel like it's similar for men in the sense that they have tools at their disposal that maybe they don't want to have to depend on and like rely upon. So that includes porn and fantasy, and it I think is diminishing a lot of the relationships that I'm witnessing even in my practice and in my personal life too. It's definitely impacted me there. And what
Yeah.
I'm trying to guide people back into is like, yes, this sense of their own known anatomy and the pelvic space not being one of those places that they completely ignore or override, and really getting into their own presence. And yeah, that can be really sticky and uncomfortable and probably not what you would normally do, and especially maybe not in a group experience. But I think even that is super important and profound and life changing.
For the listeners, just so you understand about the guided self-pleasure experience, this is going to be a webinar format. So it'll start with me and Dr. Brittney on the screen together. We'll intro, I'll pop off, and then she will lead you through the experience. So you'll just be seeing her, you'll just be listening to her through the entire experience. And then at the end, I'll be there for anyone that wants to share about their experience. I'll be able to bring you off of mute so that you can share your experience, or I can read it from the chat as well, just so you have like a logistical understanding. And ultimately, yeah, this experience is most of us as men in particular, because this is experience is for men, our masturbation and our self-pleasure has been in hiding and in secrecy, behind closed doors, trying to be as quiet as we can. And most men carry this into their adult lives, still hiding it from their partners, not talking about it, it being secretive. And the truth is, we're not 14 years old anymore. We're not 15 years old anymore. We're adults now. And this is an adult topic that when we start to get comfortable and lead in the conversations and experiences, it changes everything. So this is set up to change the way that you're relating with your own body and in connection to pleasure, that there's more presence, less distraction, less fantasy, less visual stimulation that's overriding and pumping your pleasure. It's a slow start connecting to the body and then bringing in the different teachers that are bringing in their different skill sets. So Dr. Brittney's going to bring in her own skill set for this one.
Yeah, thank you for naming all of that. I was just thinking as you were speaking, I feel like via my work, a lot of men will reach out to me and ask about the pelvic floor dysfunction that they experience, um, including erectile dysfunction. And again, I don't want to always come at it from that sense of like, there's something wrong here. But I think a lot of them think that they have to do a certain type of exercise. And I'd say if you are someone who does experience any kind of like unwanted erectile function, let's just call it that, right? Like a premature ejaculation or the inability to feel as hard as possible. But I feel like this is the opportunity to really test drive some of these other options that we have out there. And even like the the Viagra that's available, okay, great, fine, whatever. But this is a total recalibration to your pleasure, yes, but to your body in a way that yeah, you just have to experience it for yourself. At least that's what the women who try my stuff, where I'm guiding them in their own mapping and their own also like arousal tracking, they say they can't like describe exactly what it is that they feel other than like this deep sense of relief and groundedness, but also, yeah, it's like you have to experience it for yourself, is what I've been.
And, for me, speaking as a guy and in the world that I am talking to so many men, what's happened to us is because it's so much in hiding and secrecy and heavy activation through visual stimulation is most men have no idea how much they are overactive in their sympathetic nervous system. So
Mhm.
just super activated to an anxiety point, to a fight or flight, survival mechanism point. And so this experience is going to be about dancing with activation of arousal while also calming your nervous system, because the calmness and arousal need to be paired in a way that's balanced. Because if we go too sympathetic, that's when we'll orgasm quick. If we go, if it's overrises and goes into freeze, then that might be going soft. So a lot of this is working with arousal in a way that we can also start to regulate our nervous system.
Right, right. I have two things to say about that, just to give people also some more like language maybe and context. You can't be stressed out, obviously, and be engaged in your arousal. Like it is really hard for those two um like ends of the spectrum. It's really hard for you to be in both at the same time. Obviously, I think a lot of people understand that like stress is probably the one thing that takes away from their sex life. And or it could be that when men do lean into masturbation as a stress relief to like literally get off and release any kind of excess tension, it is like a um it's an unloading, and it's like a get away from me, get away from me, like I'm done with this, I can't handle this. And what this practice will be is a cultivation of being able to hold more. And I love that you brought in the sympathetic and parasympathetic, because pointing, like getting an erection, is about parasympathetic. And how often or how long are you actually giving yourself? Like, yes, men can get hard in 30 seconds sometimes, but what does it look like to keep cultivating that connection with yourself and let that arousal really build before there's that blast off into sympathetic? And
Yeah.
like,
It blew my mind when I learned that parasympathetic activation was what allowed blood flow into that part of the body. And it just, so many things clicked for me, and that I have to practice with both activating that arousal and that stimulation, but also where am I relaxing too? And that really has to come from presence and breath or movement or sound. Like I have to have that, or I'm just going all sympathetic, which is going to turn into stress and then create issues. So that is one of the things that I love about this practice and bringing in new teachers is this working with both that activation and that arousal and simultaneously that presence, that relaxation, that calmness, relaxing into arousal.
Right, which is the total antithesis to performance. And like there's zero expectation for this too. So say someone was thinking about joining, right? And it's like a masturbation, cultivation of pleasure and, reorienting yourself to your pleasure in your body. There's zero expectation to literally get off. And if you do, it's also okay. But notice what that difference feels like when you're actually dropped into your body versus, and when you're by yourself, like doing it for yourself versus when you are with a partner. And how can you translate what you learn in an experience like this about your own pleasure and about your own capacity and bring that into a partnered experience?
And I know that there's a certain amount of threshold required to even enter an experience like this. There's a certain amount of exposure that is, I'm not hidden alone in my bedroom. And that's a big step for a lot of people. So just naming that calling you in and saying there may be resistance to join this experience, which is completely normal. And also to say that resistance is a good sign because it means you're doing something different. And if you want something different in your relationship to sexuality and arousal or self-pleasure or pleasure with another person, you have to do something different. So if you're feeling that discomfort about joining, great. That means you're stepping into something new. And reach out to me personally, ask me questions. I can help you walk across that threshold, and it's completely normal. Or you can just sign up and get the replay and do it in that same safety of your own home.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Um, when women join me, I feel like there is a potency for sure, and like there's a visibility piece that is it is transformative and it is in a way really relieving sometimes. But I can also see where it can feel like this is still more of a private, I'm processing experience, and that's totally okay too. So yeah, I'm glad you're gonna have the replay.
Yeah, and it gets to be that in the way that it's set up too, that it will be your private experience because your cameras will be off, your videos will be off, so you will be private. And I still know that there's a little bit of that rub there. So just
Yeah,
encouraging you all to go towards that. And if you need a little help, reach out to me and I can help you walk across that threshold.
super cool. Super
Really
cool.
excited to have you. And it's this Thursday for everybody. Reach out with any questions and we'll be diving in.
I cannot wait, Ian. Seriously,
Hmm.
I got my golden penis from my model.
Yeah, yeah. Bring the golden penis. All right, everybody. Take care, and I hope to hear from you soon or see you at the event.
See you there.